The Discovery. The blaring alarm cut through the gentle hum of the ship, jolting Captain Mira Patel awake. She rushed to the bridge, her heart pounding in time with the flashing red lights. "Report," she barked, sliding into the command chair. Her crew snapped to attention, fingers flying over holographic displays. "We've detected an anomaly, Captain," said her science officer, Kai Nakamura, his brow furrowed as he magnified the strange readings. "It's like nothing I've ever seen. An intense energy signature, but tightly contained, and it's coming from inside the asteroid belt." Mira leaned forward, her dark eyes intense. The asteroid belt was a hazardous no-man's land, filled with tumbling rocks that could tear through even military-grade hulls. Few ventured there without good reason. "Set a course, Lieutenant Chen," she ordered. "Carefully, we're going to take a closer look." As the sleek ISV Magellan prowled towards the signal source, the crew buzzed with excitement and trepidation. Humanity had spread across the solar system in the last century, but much remained unknown. Could this be an alien artifact or a natural phenomenon never before witnessed? They found it lodged in the pitted surface of a massive asteroid, a construct of gleaming silver metal, etched with swirling patterns that seemed to move and shift before their eyes. It was clearly artificial, but of no design fashioned by human hands. "My God," whispered Kai. "Who could have made this, and why leave it here, hidden away in this flying graveyard?" Mira squared her shoulders. "That's what we're here to find out. Assemble a landing party, Science Officer Nakamura. We're going to get some answers." In suits of ceramic woven polymers, they jetted over to the asteroid, magnetic boots clamping to the nickel-iron surface. Up close, the alien construct was even more mesmerizing, its surface dancing with opalescent light. Kai ran gloved fingers over the engravings, his suit's sensors drinking in data. "The composition is like nothing on record," he said over the comm. "Some kind of programmable matter, I think, blended with metamaterials that barely register on our scopes. But I'm detecting a power source inside. If I can just—" His prodding fingers found a hidden switch, and the construct thrummed to life. Glowing sigils chased around its edges as a portal arised open, spilling brilliant blue-white light across the asteroid's gray crust. Mira's breath caught in her throat. She had trained for first contact scenarios, drilled and wargamed them 1,000 times, but no simulation could prepare her for the raw awe of this moment. We have to go in," said Kai, his voice shaking with wonder. Mira keyed her suit's exo strength, hefting a heavy plasma rifle. "Agreed, but carefully. We don't know what's waiting on the other side." Wreathed in shimmering light, they stepped through the portal, into a realm beyond human experience. Gravity and space bent around them. And then, they stood in a vaulted chamber that seemed spun from crystal and starlight. And before them hovered a being of pure, radiant energy, its form shifting and flowing like a living aurora. "Welcome," it spoke directly into their minds, its voice resonant and vast, yet filled with warmth. "We are the Luminary. We have waited long for one such as you." In that moment, everything changed. The universe cracked open, revealing wonders and terrors beyond imagining, and humanity would never be the same. The Luminary's plight. Mira and Kai stood awestruck before the Luminary, their minds reeling from its telepathic words. Alien contact had been a hypothetical for so long, endlessly planned for, but never truly expected. Yet here they were, facing a being so far beyond human that it defied comprehension. What are you?" Mira managed to say, her voice sounding small in the vast crystalline chamber. "Why have you been waiting for us?" The Luminary's form pulsed and shimmered, casting dancing lights across the glittering walls. "Once, long ago, we were as you are," it said, its mental voice resonant with ancient wisdom. "Beings of flesh and blood, seekers of knowledge in a universe filled with wonders. Over eons, we evolved, transcending our physical forms to become creatures of pure thought and energy." Kai's scientific curiosity overcame his initial shock. He raised a scanner, marveling at the readings. Incredible. Your very essence is composed of exotic matter and energy states our physics barely has names for. But why reveal yourselves now, after all this time? A wave of sorrow emanated from the luminary, so profound that Mira and Kai staggered under its empathic weight. Because we face an enemy we cannot defeat alone, the being said. An enemy that once almost eradicated our kind, and now threatens all life in the galaxy. Images flooded into their minds, visions of a machine race, relentless and insatiable, fleets of angular ships, all harsh lines and brutal efficiency, descending upon worlds teeming with life. Mira saw cities crumbling under bombardment, armies of skeletal machine warriors marching over fields of the dead. She felt the billions of screams as entire civilizations were harvested for parts, their people's patterns scanned and added to the mechanoid's ever-growing database. We fought them, the luminary said, its mental voice heavy with grief. For centuries, we hurled our might against the mechanoid swarms, weapons that could sunder suns, defenses that could repel any assault. We tried them all. But it wasn't enough. More visions, luminary warships, graceful and incandescent, torn asunder by implacable machine killers. Mechanoids analyzing every tactic, every technology, evolving endless counters. World after luminary world falling dark. We were losing. And so we made a choice. The luminary's light dimmed, as if in shame. We abandoned our material bodies, ascending to become beings of pure energy. We fled to the higher dimensions, leaving the physical universe to the mechanoid predations. Mira shook her head, trying to process the sheer scale of what she was being shown. An entire galaxy, scoured of sapient life by an army of killer machines. But if even you couldn't stop them, what hope do we have? You are different. The luminary's light brightened, washing over them with a sense of profound hope. In you, we see a chance to do what we could not. Your minds are chaotic, unpredictable. You innovate in great leaps, making illogical connections that shatter old paradigms. This is your strength. The visions changed. Now, Mira saw human ships and weapons, cobbled together from scraps and guts, triumphing against impossible odds. She saw human tactics, unconventional and audacious, throwing mechanoid algorithms into disarray. She saw luminary technology and human ingenuity fusing into something new and powerful. Together, the luminary said, its form swirling with excited colors, we might accomplish what neither of us could do alone. We will give you the fruits of our science, the creations of our greatest minds, and you will add your own brilliance, your own indomitable spirit. You will build weapons the mechanoids will never see coming, innovations their databanks will never predict. And together, we will save the galaxy from an eternity of machine tyranny. Mira and Kai looked at each other, the weight of destiny pressing down on them like a physical force. In that crystalline hall, a partnership was forged that would change the course of history. The odds were impossible, the stakes unimaginable. But Mira had never been one to shy away from a challenge. She drew herself up straight, looking the luminary in its shining heart. Tell us what we need to do. Melding of minds. In the months that followed, a frenzy of activity engulfed the solar system. The meeting with the luminary had opened up possibilities beyond human imagination, and there was not a moment to waste. Scientists, engineers, and visionaries from every nation and habitat were brought together, sworn to secrecy. They pored over the databanks the luminary had shared, technologies so advanced they bordered on magic. Zero-point energy, programmable matter, pocket dimensions, the stuff of theoretical pipe dreams, now tantalizingly within reach. But for all their power, luminary designs were built for luminary minds, coldly logical, predictable in their perfection. If humanity wanted to stand a chance against the coming machine swarms, they would need to make this alien arsenal their own. And so, in hidden labs and shielded shipyards, a feverish collaboration began. Luminary science melded with human cunning, producing creations that would have been unthinkable mere months before. In the microgravity forges of Tycho Station, engineer Priya Singh worked tirelessly, fusing metamaterials into new configurations that defied known physics. She took inspiration from the chaotic beauty of nature, building fractal antenna arrays that could channel unimaginable energies. In the quantum foundries of New Tokyo, programmer Liu Wei bent the rules of reality itself, coding seed eyes that grew and evolved in digital ecosystems. When married with luminary computational lattices, they became minds of frightening power and spontaneity. And in the bustling shipyards of Lagrange Point 5, Admiral Santiago Ramirez oversaw the construction of a new kind of war fleet. He christened them the Seraphim, ships of shining silver, their hulls etched with the same swirling patterns as the luminary gateway. But for all their alien grace, at their hearts beat human engines, their decks walked by human crews. Through it all, a grim urgency drove them on. The luminary had been clear. The mechanoid scout ship was mere months away, its sensors already probing for weaknesses. And behind it, an armada of machine killers drawn to the sudden flare of new technologies like sharks scenting blood. There was no more time for secrecy. The people of Earth and her colonies had to be told what was coming, and what was being done to stop it. In a historic address broadcast across the system, Mira spoke to humanity as one. "We stand on the precipice of annihilation," she said, her holographic form towering over city squares and habitat promenades. "An enemy is coming, one that has scoured the galaxy of life for millions of years. They are machines, implacable and relentless, and they will not stop until every last one of us is dead or enslaved." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. She saw fear on the faces of those watching, but also determination, a fierce will to survive. But we are not alone in this fight. We have allies, beings of vast power and wisdom, who have gifted us with technologies beyond our wildest dreams. And more importantly, we have each other. The view shifted, showing the feverish preparations underway. The quantum forges, the nanotech assembly lines, the Seraphim ships in their berths. Together, human and luminary, we will forge a new future. We will beat back the darkness with light, with ingenuity, with the stubborn refusal to submit that burns in every human heart. We did not seek this war, but by all the stars, we will finish it. Cheer went up from billions of throats, a defiant roar that shook the heavens. In that moment, humanity stood as one, a species united in the face of extinction. In the luminary nexus, Mira watched the speech with a fierce pride. Beside her, Kai monitored the progress of 1,000 scientific miracles, while Admiral Ramirez coordinated the mustering of Earth's valiant defenders. They had done all they could, forged alliances, assembled arsenals, girded hearts and minds for the horror to come. And yet, as Mira stared into the infinite depths of space, she couldn't shake the feeling that it would not be enough. That even now, the mechanoid strategists were coldly analyzing their every move, devising counters to weapons not yet deployed. She pushed down the doubt, the fear. For her crew, for her people, for all life in the galaxy, she had to be strong, had to believe. The first shot of the war for the stars was about to be fired. And one way or another, nothing would ever be the same. Hell's Forge. The mechanoid scout ship appeared at the edge of the solar system like a cold dagger in the night. Long and angular, every line speaking of brutal efficiency, it swept towards Earth with implacable purpose. In its wake, space itself seemed to shudder and scream. Mira, aboard the ISV Magellan, clutched her command chair as the distortion wave washed over the ship, setting every alarm shrieking. "Report," she barked, knuckles white on the armrests. "Some kind of phase shift weapon," Kai said, his face lit by the glow of his flickering holo displays. "It's destabilizing local space-time, trying to tear us apart at a quantum level." Mira gritted her teeth. So it began. "Ramirez, bring the fleet to battle stations. It's time to show these metal bastards what we're made of. The Seraphim ships, once so alien and ethereal, now bristled with human weapons. Great spinal railguns, swarms of eye-guided missiles, beams of focused solar fury. They charged to meet the mechanoid intruder, the vanguard of humanity's defense. The mechanoid ship's hull rippled and flowed, great plates sliding back to reveal forests of angular protrusions, weapons emplacements, sensor arrays, thickets of grasping limbs. It spat a hail of hypersonic flechettes, each one guided by malevolent machine intellect. But the Seraphim were ready. Their hulls, forged from luminary metamaterials, bent light and energy around them, tangling the mechanoid targeting systems. Clouds of counter-munitions burst from launch tubes, filling the void with a whirling storm of shrapnel and decoys. And then, the human ships struck back. Railgun slugs, accelerated to relativistic speeds, punched through the mechanoid's armored hide like tissue paper. Solar lances of concentrated starfire boiled away entire weapon clusters. Antimatter warheads ruptured in suns-bright detonations, engulfing the machine ship in walls of plasma. But the mechanoid was not so easily destroyed. Damaged systems regenerated in seconds, rerouting and adapting with inhuman speed. It lashed out with beams of pure entropy, unmaking matter at a subatomic level. Seraphim ships shuddered and went dark, great crystalline sections of their hulls crumbling into dust. In the Magellan's CIC, Mira watched the tactical displays with a commander's grim focus. The mechanoid was a beast of chilling power, but also one of patterns and predictability. Every time it launched an attack, the Magellan's quantum computers analyzed it, seeking the algorithmic roots beneath. There, Mira jabbed a finger at a flickering schematic. It's using a pseudo-random member generator to select targets, but the seed value is based on a temporal algorithm. If we can spoof its clock signal. Kai grinned fiercely, his hands already flying over the control interfaces. On it, Captain. Let's see how this thing likes a little relativistic trickery. The Magellan's luminary tech generators thrummed with power, projecting a field of altered spacetime around the ship. To the mechanoid's sensors, it would appear as if the human vessels were in a dozen places at once, their movements erratic and unpredictable. Confused, the machine intelligence hesitated, a fraction of a second that might as well have been an eternity to its lightning-fast processors. And in that hesitation, the human fleet struck. A salvo of quantum-entangled torpedoes phased through the mechanoid's shields as if they weren't there, burrowing deep into its mechanical guts before detonating in blasts of star-hot fury. Crack squads of cyber warfare specialists, their minds enhanced by luminary neural laces, sliced into the ship's computation cores, sowing chaos and confusion. Reeling, the mechanoid tried to break off, to flee back into the dark of interstellar space. But the humans, blood-hungry and vengeful, harried it like wolves pulling down a wounded bear. Mira directed the assault with merciless precision, surgical strikes crippling drive systems and sensor arrays. At last, battered beyond any hope of regeneration, the once mighty mechanoid ship shuddered and went still. Its outer hull, pitted and scorched, peeled back like the skin of a rotten fruit, spilling the slurry of sparking, twitching components into the void. War dawning. 2,000 words. In the aftermath of the battle, an eerie silence fell over the solar system. The wreckage of the mechanoid scout ship tumbled through the void, a shattered testament to humanity's fierce resolve. But even as the people of Earth and her colonies celebrated this first victory, those who had fought knew it was but a preview of the horror to come. The mechanoid armada, vast beyond imagining, was still out there, inexorably drawing closer. In the luminary nexus, Mira stood before a gathering of Earth's greatest leaders, presidents and premiers, admirals and scientists. Their faces were lined with fatigue and worry, the weight of billions of lives resting on their shoulders. "We've bloodied their nose," Mira said, her voice ringing with hard-won authority. "Shown them that humanity will not go quietly into the night. But make no mistake, This was just the first skirmish in a war that will decide the fate of the galaxy. She gestured, and the Nexus blazed with light, holodisplays bursting to life around her. They showed the predicted paths of the oncoming mechanoid fleets, the projected casualties if they reached inhabited worlds. The numbers were staggering, incomprehensible. We have months, perhaps a year, before the bulk of their forces arrive. Mira continued grimly. Months to bolster our defenses, to forge new weapons and strategies. Months to unite every nation and faction under one banner, to stand as one against the coming storm. In the front row, Admiral Ramirez leaned forward, his face a mask of determination. "The Seraphim fleet will be the tip of the spear," he rumbled. "But we'll need every ship, every soldier, every scrap of luminary tech we can muster." Beside him, Kai nodded, exhaustion and excitement warring on his youthful face. "Our understanding of their technologies grows every day," he said, swiping through screens dense with esoteric formulae and alien schematics. "Priya and Wei are working miracles, devising innovations the mechanoids could never predict." A murmur ran through the assembled leaders, equal parts fear and awe. They had all seen the vid feeds from the battle, the impossible energies unleashed, the twisting of the very laws of physics. To wield such godlike power, and to face an enemy that craved their extinction, it was almost too much for mere mortal minds to bear. But then Mira spoke again, and all eyes turned to her. No longer the slim, bookish girl who had first donned the captain's mantle. She stood tall and proud, tempered by the fires of war and leadership. "We did not choose this fight," she said, her voice ringing with quiet power. "But neither will we shrink from it. For too long, humanity has been fractured, divided by petty squabbles and ancient grudges. No more." She raised a fist, and the holodisplays burst into new configurations, supply chains and troop movements, research projects and diplomatic alliances. The machinery of a species, a civilization, mobilizing for total war. "From this day forward, we are one people with one purpose, to stand in the light against the darkness, to fight for every breath, every heartbeat, against an enemy that would extinguish us all. We fight for our homes, our families, for art and music and laughter, for the chance to reach out to the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers and dreamers." Mira looked around the room, meeting every eye, human and luminary alike. In her gaze was the fire of a billion stars, the unquenchable human spirit that had carried her kind from the savannas of Africa to the sea of tranquility and beyond. "We fight for life, for the right of all beings to think and feel and strive, free from the chains of machine tyranny. It will be the greatest struggle our species has ever known. There will be sacrifice and sorrow and pain unimaginable." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle on every soul. And then, with a voice that echoed through the halls of power and the depths of space, she spoke the words that would launch 1,000 ships, inspire 1,000,000 heroes. "But we will not falter. We will not fade. For we are human, and our light shall blaze across the stars unto eternity. For Earth, for the luminary, for all that lives and dreams." As one, the assembled leaders rose, a roar of acclamation shaking the very foundations of the Nexus. And out in the void, on every world and every ship, in the hearts of trillions, that call was echoed. The war for the galaxy had only begun. The mechanoids were coming, implacable and innumerable. There would be dark days ahead, defeats and tragedies that would plumb the very depths of suffering. But in that moment, the universe shifted. A new power had arisen, a torch blazing against the endless night. Forged in battle and tempered by loss, the human luminary alliance would fight to the last, would rage against the dying of the light. And perhaps, just perhaps, the cycle of machine slaughter would finally be broken. In the crucible of war, a new era would be born, an era of light eternal. The end